This creepy story was told to me in 2018. I will retell it to you in my own words. During the Reagan administration, my brother was stationed with the U.S. Army in Germany at a top-secret joint military command. He worked the graveyard shift and had a 4-person barracks room all to himself. At the end of his shift, he would return to his barracks room, lock the door, turn off the lights, and climb into his bunk. Although it was daylight, the windows were all closed and well shielded from the light by blinds and curtains. The Ghost in the Barrack. Ghost Story. After he had settled down under his duvet, he heard someone in the corridor go to the door, open it, and go in. He was a little angry and surprised because he was sure he had locked the door. At the time, he thought that perhaps someone had entered the wrong room by mistake and would notice the mistake and leave. But whoever it was walked to the middle of the room, stopped, and then suddenly rushed over to my brother's bed, grabbed him and tried to throw him out. Instinctively, my brother pushed the intruder away. As he did so, he felt this person's curly hair. Although the room was very dark, my brother felt that this person had dark curly hair. Was it a ghost in the barracks? As he gathered himself, my brother looked up and around, and the apparition, or whatever it was, had disappeared. He quickly got out of bed, turned on the light, and noticed that the room was completely empty and everything looked normal. He also noticed that the door was locked. He went to work that night and said to his co-worker, "Guess what happened to me this morning in the barracks room?" The other worker paused until one of them spoke up and replied, "I know. A ghost tried to throw you out of bed, right?" "Yes," said my brother. "How did you know that?" His colleague replied, "Now you know why you have the room all to yourself." My brother found out that other soldiers assigned to that room had the same experience. It seemed that the barracks was a building used by the German army as a field hospital during World War I. When the U.S. Army took over and established a base there after World War II, military personnel reported paranormal and ghostly activity in the buildings and surrounding areas. One member reported waking up to see a man in a German First World War uniform sitting on the edge of his bed looking at him before disappearing. Another man was able to see more clearly the entity that tried to throw him out of his bunk and described it as a man in a German First World War uniform. Another soldier who was in the barracks room heard a loud commotion in the corridor. Looking out, he said he saw a group of Second World War German soldiers running down the corridor with rifles as if responding to an emergency, before disappearing into the distance. Is my ghost story true, you ask? The credibility of this story comes from the fact that I know my brother very well. He has never told me a story like this before and is not one to lie or joke. He is a college graduate and served six years honorably in the Army, including reserve time. He currently works for the U.S. federal government in Los Angeles. While he asked to remain anonymous, he gave me his blessing to tell the story to others, and I know the experience he said he had really happened. Whatever it was that happened. He is of sound mind, has no history of hallucinations, and has been given top-secret clearance. A clearance the government would never give to questionable or untrustworthy people, or those with mental problems or criminal backgrounds. My brother has a clean record. I am retired from the U.S. Navy. Personally, I never had any paranormal experiences, but during my early years of service while on a cruise in the Western Pacific, another sailor from Kentucky told me in a matter-of-fact manner that during his mid-watch, midnight, he had a conversation with 2 other sailors. After a while, the sailors disappeared right in front of him. This bothered him, and he began to see the ship's psychologist, or an officer working in that capacity. He became so mentally unwell that he was eventually given an early discharge. Before the incident, he had plans to make a career out of the Navy. The ship we were on was the aircraft carrier USS Enterprise. In the late 1960s, the ship had an accident on the flight deck off the coast of Hawaii when a bomb exploded up there, killing many flight deck personnel. It's all mysterious and damn interesting.